On behalf of the state of Texas and the Bexar County Commissioner's Court, it's my honor to serve as co-chair of the Texas Democratic Convention and welcome you to my precinct at the Alamodome, Precinct 4. Bienvenidos, amigos. I'm County Commissioner Tommy Calvert, and I just have a few questions for you to make sure that I'm at the right place. Are you ready to turn Texas blue? Are you ready to take back the U.S. Senate from Ted Cruz Republicans? Are you ready to defend President Obama's record? Are you ready to put a Democrat back in the White House? Well, then I've come to the right place. Give yourselves a round. My theme today is great people always rise in spite of obstacles. And I stopped by to look into the eyes of the soldiers who are going to battle with me to save America from the hands of a tyrant. Not since King George has our way of life been more threatened. Every 4 years, this country gets to choose its best and brightest to represent all of us and move our country forward. But when we look at the Republican nominee, the only thing he's best at is being cusser-in-chief. This country is facing a Republican nominee who advocates beating down protesters who disagree with him. But when he does that, he doesn't just beat down that protester. He beats down our Constitution. He beats down our First Amendment right to freedom of speech. He beats down the work of Martin Luther King and the protesters from Selma to Montgomery fighting for voting rights. He beats down the work of Cesar Chavez and the unions and those who protest for workers' rights. He beats down Susan B. Anthony and lines of women suffragists who rise up and demand equality and a day when a woman can get equal pay for an equal day's work. He beats down those who may be different because of religion. He fans the flames of hate and they spill over to the fabric of this fragile nation and tear it apart. He beats down the union of values that have made America great. Mr. Trump, we already fought and settled a war for freedom. Mr. Trump, we already tore our nation apart, and too many died too young for us to turn around right now. When I was elected, I swore an oath of office, and I raised my right hand and said that I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of the state of Texas and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of this state, so help me God. And that is why I stopped by to say, if you're gonna be for the Constitution and for America, you gotta be against Trump. We can't trust Trump with our country. We'll be at war with the world and with our countrymen because of the fuel of hate. We need more love in our country. I trust Flint drinking water more than I trust Donald Trump. I trust Bill Cosby's drinks more than I do Donald Trump. I trust the '78 Ford Pinto more than I trust Trump. Democrats, we can't trust Trump to tell America what makes it great. We can't trust hate radio to tell us what makes it great. We can't trust Breitbart to tell us what makes it great. We can't trust Fox News to tell us what makes it great. We can't trust InfoWars to tell us what makes it great. Forget about Make America Great Again. How about Make America Read Again? And let's start with our Constitution and our history. Even Speaker Paul Ryan put Trump in check by saying his dictatorial policies against Muslims and Latinos are impossible because it's unconstitutional. To be for America, you have to be against Trump. But great people must rise in the Democratic Party. We must rise to the challenge. My leader, to help us rise in this challenge, in this battle, is the most prepared person to ever assume the president. I'm with her. I'm ready for Hillary. I'm ready to fight. Here's how we have to win. United, we have to rise up and tell people. We have to rise up and tell people the first job of any president is to keep you safe. Democrats, we're coming together, brothers and sisters. We thank Bernie. Good man. Democrats, I love it. It wouldn't be a Democratic Party without this. This is beautiful. Democrats, we have to we're all in it together. We're all in this together. Together we can all make a difference. All right, hold on. The rest of this is for Democrats. Come on now. We got a couple great lines here. Democrats together, we have to remind people that it was President Obama that got Osama. All Trump got was Omarosa. What our president did to get Osama bin forgotten by Bush was hard, but thanks to the greatness of our country, our great president Barack Obama rose up in spite of the hiding in Pakistan and ordered our brave men and women to bring justice to the slaughter of 9/11. And I thank God our president fought the evil that threatened our way of life. The second priority of any president is to create jobs and keep our economy moving. Our president has done that. In spite of the worst recession since the Great Depression, in spite of Mitch McConnell saying he wanted to make Obama a one-term president, in spite of Republicans not voting to help America out of the Bush recession, our president, a great man, rose in spite of obstacles and turned this economy around. I'm so sick and tired of them not giving this president the respect he deserves. If there was a Republican president with as good of a record on the economy as President Obama, they would have put his face on Mount Rushmore. When he entered into office, when the president entered into office, the Bush unemployment rate was 10%. Today it's under 5%. Cut in half. No help from the Republicans. Democrats led the way in creating 14 million jobs. Great people always rise in spite of obstacles. While our president was creating jobs, Donald Trump was outsourcing jobs with his clothing line, Made in China. We can't let our Republican friends whine to you about how big our deficit is. Don't let your Republican friends whine about how big our deficit is. President Obama has shrunk the deficit by $1 trillion. That's a trillion with a T. When the president inherited George Bush's mess, the deficit was 9.8% of our GDP. Now it's just 2.5%. No Republican talks about the fact that we're still paying for Bush's economic mistakes, which included a tax cut that wasn't paid for, blew through President Clinton's surplus. Somebody ought to remind Republicans that our debt was caused by going to war in Iraq and spending more money building Iraq than America and not paying for it. We have to remind America that Bush blew open the debt by passing a Medicare prescription D benefit that wasn't paid for. And because Bush let Wall Street run wild, America had to pay for a bank bailout that blew open the deficit your Republican friends whine about. Now we're here to say it's Democrats' time to rise up in spite of the obstacles of Fox News and let our neighbors know that we create more jobs and lower more debt than Republicans. Families are concerned about being bankrupt by high medical bills. We have to thank Secretary Clinton and Bernie for being so strong and taking years of negative special interest attacks for fighting for health care. That is what it's really like to be a pro-life candidate. Her fight for Hillary Care made it possible for us to pass Obamacare. Now 18 million people have health care. Secretary Clinton is a great American who stood up in spite of the obstacles. And when she got knocked down, she got up, she kept fighting, and kept winning for all of us. And she's going to take us to victory once more this November. Here's what we all share. Here's what we all share. We can all be proud. We can all be proud. We can all be proud that the number of uninsured Americans dropped below 10% for the first time ever. 18 million people have private insurance, and we can't be discriminated against for pre-existing conditions. That's pro-life. As I go to my seat, the story of the Democratic Party in Texas is like the story of General Washington when this nation was founded. 330 years ago in 1776, General Washington and the founding fathers of our nation sought to take on the most powerful government in the history of the world. They had little money, little manpower. The state of their army was in disarray, disorganized. People hardly had shoes through the winter months, and they risked all the comforts they knew for their freedom against a powerful government. They rose up and through the Declaration of Independence said that when any form of government becomes destructive of the consent of the governed, it is the right and the duty of the people to institute a new government. These Americans rose in spite of obstacles because they didn't feel their rights were being respected. Today, our voting rights, our women's rights, our religious rights, our immigrant rights are being disrespected. We rose under the theme of no taxation without representation. We rose to break away from the path of the old and bring in the new. We rose to bring us together as a nation to form a more perfect union, conceived in liberty and ordered towards justice. And because we have history repeating itself, it's time for us to rise again and make this country live out the true meaning of its creed. Do you believe we can do it? Good. Because if we are to save this country from the tyranny of an ignorant fool, it's going to be the Democratic Party that has to rise up and win coast to coast. Anyone can tell us that the mountain is large before us, that we face big money from Republican billionaires. But the lesson of this country is that when a determined and focused group of patriots come together and unify in the Spirit of God in us to love our neighbors as we would love ourselves, we will not fail. You can send a message deep in the heart of Texas that we will no longer be divided as a nation. You can send a message that we will no longer settle for our rights being trampled. You can send a message that your values are not owned by the Republican Party, but by we the people. So let's go door to door. Let's phone bank. Let's write the checks. We must always move forward, adelante, toward a more perfect union. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America.